What words, more often than not, are the ones you use to describe your husband? Narcissist, controlling, selfish, uncaring, unloving, lacking empathy? Which ones? Or would you have added another word that you use more often than not to describe your husband? Does his actions make you feel unseen, unheard, and possibly just exhausted? Well, I would love to hear. I mean, if you thought of another word that I didn't mention, or if you would have said, yeah, that's the word or words, would you just kind of put that in the comment section? So if you so choose to let me see what word that you have more often than not thought about your husband. And maybe I would love to hear, even if it's not yours, but you're thinking, man, here are some other words that I would have added to the list. Well, again, put that in the comment section. I would love to hear that. But here's the thing, you're not alone. You're not alone. And I'm going to share with you in a few moments why I say that. Well, let me just add this piece right now that in my work, I've seen hundreds, or let me say it this way, I've heard from so so many wives like yourself who have mentioned one or more of those words in their own experiences. So today, I'll share how you can protect your peace, find joy, and maintain a Christ centered marriage, even when faced with narcissistic traits or any of the above words we have mentioned. Now, I know that is, I know how isolating it can feel when the person you love seems more focused on himself than on your relationship. But let me assure you, you're in the right place. By the end of this video, you have a practical strategy to navigate this this relationship, the dynamic of the relationship, without losing your peace. How does that sound? And by the way, if my voice sounds kind of raspy or I'm okay. It's early morning recording, and that tends to happen when the voice is not fully warmed up. So, hey, this is what you get on an early recording. Now, if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. I'm Kingsley Grant, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach. What I share with you, it comes from nearly 2 decades of working with couples like you and from my 39 years of marriage. So, yes, I've been married for 39 years, almost 40 in a few months as of this recording. So, believe me, I've experienced in my own relationship tough seasons too. And if not for the God's grace, the grace of God, his mercy, his kindness, his generosity, his love, I don't know if I would be here recording this video and sharing this with you. I don't know. We've had some tough times, and I can tell you, but for the grace of God, I don't know. I don't think we'd have made it, but here we are. Thank God that He did show mercy to us. So I want you to stay with me because at the end of this video, I have a free gift, a downloadable item, 5 proven steps to a happier marriage, or a wife's guide to a happier marriage is really the, so you could skip ahead and get it if you want it, but trust me, you'll appreciate it more after hearing what I have to say. It will make more sense. It will really kind of fit in when you have listened to the end of this video. Now, when your husband's behavior feels narcissistic, like they always need to be right, demand attention, or just simply ignore your needs, ignore what it is you have to say, it can feel like your marriage is out of balance. It's draining. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. I just don't know what to do, Kings. I just can't keep going. You might think, how do I stay grounded, anchored in this? How do I keep the peace and joy in my heart? And, I empathize because sometimes when I listen to wives, and sometimes when I listen to a husband and wife who do come together, when that husband may have come to try to prove a point, and many times when that happens, that's a one-off thing. They come and they just don't come back because they were hoping for me to agree with them about what it is. And now I'm not saying that they may not have a good point because I'm not taking his side or her side. I tell couples many times, I am on the side of the relationship. I go to bat for the relationship. So I tell them, you may not hear some things that you want to hear, and I tell both of them, but here's what I know. I want the relationship to get everything it needs. That's how I roll when I work with couples. So the problem here isn't just his behavior, right? It's the toll it takes on your emotional, spiritual, and relational well-being. Would you agree with that? I mean, it's draining. And it can make you feel like you're you're doing this marriage thing alone. But here's the good news I want to mention. There is a better way. There is a better way. It's a King say, better way. Please, please, come on, tell me, bring it on, bring it on. I want to know if there's a better way. I come on, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Okay, here we go. Now, before I dive into this solution, the better way, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, would you go ahead and do so right now? And if you've liked anything you've heard so far, like I said, man, this is like going the way that I was hoping to hear and go. I want you to make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Give me a like on this. I would really appreciate that. It helps me know this content is serving you well. Now, here's the truth. The fastest way to handle narcissistic traits in your marriage. Ready for this? Drum roll. The fastest way to handle narcissistic traits that you find in your marriage without losing your peace is by, here we go, embracing the mind of Christ. Yes, embracing the mind of Christ. Now you say, well, King's what, embracing the mind of Christ? Well, hang in there for a second, because if we understand what the mind of Christ is that I'm talking about here, you would truly realize that it's possible. It's possible because Philippians 2, verse 5, it talks about this idea of Christ and what he did, the attitude of Christ. And then where Jesus himself said, I came not to be served, but to serve, which is you. You know this, right? You know this already. But I want to remind you because I want to set the tone for where we are going. When I talk about embracing the mind of Christ, it is something that is going to allow you to experience peace, experience a state of joy, and stay in your peace. I mean, I think that's really good news, wouldn't you say? Now, the old way is trying to control your husband, trying to control him, arguing to prove your point, or shutting down emotionally, just shutting down. And maybe just your anxiety and your depression and your sadness, and you're maybe going to vices because you just don't know what else to do. That's the old way. Now, are there parts of that that may still continue? Yes. But here's a new way, my way, right? It's different. It focuses on setting Christ-centered boundaries, right? It focuses on renewing your mind daily through scripture and keeping your peace noted in God's promises. This approach, it gives you clarity and strength no matter how your husband behaves. That is really true. And let me kind of give you some practical steps here then of what that might look like. I want you to start small today. I want you to start small. Write down one boundary, one boundary you need to set. For example, if you're often interrupted during family conversations or a conversation with your husband, just kindly but firmly. Now, not in a raised voice, but just firmly, assertively, just say, I'll finish my thoughts, then I'd love to hear yours. Honey, I'll finish my thoughts. Let me finish my thoughts, and then I'll be glad to hear yours. and do not move. Do not give in. If it needs to be, if that doesn't, he doesn't want to hear that or do that, walk away. Simply walk away. You're simply sending a message verbally and not verbally that you will finish your thoughts. And until that happens, you're not going to be moving forward. Now, you don't have to get upset. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to do any of that. It's simply being assertive, right? Because that's a difference between assertive and aggressive. Aggressive is when you raise your voice and begin to act a certain way, and just show, maybe even he gets under your skin. He pushes your button, and that's what he wants to do. And then he says, see, you have a problem with anger. You have a problem with this. See, you need to get help because you've played right into his hand. Hello. That's what tends to happen. So setting boundaries isn't about punishing, right? It's about creating space for mutual respect and peace. It's also about protecting your peace. Now, I want you to think about that and maybe just really take a pause and prayerfully consider what it is that I've just said. Now, here's some things that we've talked about that I want you to truly lean into. And here are three takeaways that I want you to have from what you've heard so far. The first one is you can't change your husband, but you can protect your peace. Okay. Second one, embracing the mind of Christ helps you respond with grace and wisdom. And the third takeaway is boundaries rooted in love can shift the dynamic in your marriage. That is really important to understand. So I want you to understand that you're not alone, like I said before, in this. God sees your heart, he hears your prayers, and you are stronger than you realize because his strength is made perfect in your weakness, according to 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9, that God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. Now, I have a channel that I wanted to mention here because I think it might be helpful to you. Another channel is it's called Peaceful Home Prayers. Peaceful Home Prayers, and the link will be in the description below. But it is a channel which talks about prayer. It's you won't see my face. It's a faceless channel, but I have a number of short prayers and devotions that maybe you could actually benefit from that. So if you're so interested, I would suggest you click the link in the description or just go to search for Peaceful Home Prayers, and you'll find that, and just pick one to listen to because that might be helpful to you as well, as we're talking about this idea of how God's that his strength is made perfect in your weakness, right? Remember that because that's very important. And God sees your heart, he hears your prayers, and it's important to understand that you're going to care for yourself. This is self-care. It's important that you self-care in a relationship like this because you will burn yourself out. You will go crazy. So it's important. Remember, you can't change your husband. It's not about changing him. It's about changing your approach, your attitude towards him. And that's why I said embracing the mind of Christ is the fastest and most impactful way for you, for any relationship, any marriage, to truly experience peace and happiness and deeper connection because you're connecting with God and God gives you the grace to even connect with that husband of yours. Believe me, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen because the husband will see something different about you and he won't be able to weaponize whatever you've done and said and just turn that thing on you because that is what they can do so well. And I mean, I'm not telling you something you don't know, right? So remember now, I want you to download A Christian Wife's Guide to a Happier Marriage for more practical faith-based tips. And the link is in the description below, or you can go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com, buildyourhappiermarriage.com/guide. And you can get that there. You may have heard me mention the word /roadmap before. Well, you can do also go roadmap or guide, but you can get that. And the link will be in the description below. Hey, I want you to remind you of a few things here. And that is this. It's very important to understand you are one communication skill. away from a more peaceful, connected, and joy-filled marriage. Yes. What we talk about today is that one skill, setting a boundary, is that communication skill, because that's communication. Whether you understand it or know that or not, that is a communication skill that some people don't even realize. And remember Psalm 127, verse 1. Unless the Lord builds a house, the builders labor in vain. So with God's guidance, you can rebuild and strengthen your marriage. I know you can with God's help. Now, if this video helped you, again, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more Christ-centered marriage tips if you have not yet done so. And next time, we're going to discuss how to encourage your husband to be more present without pushing him away. Wow. So don't miss that. Now, thank you for watching. God bless you, and may he keep you and your marriage strong in his love and grace. And watch this video right here, and make sure you share this with at least one other person. Thank you for watching. God bless. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out. God bless.